Welcome to Dimensions in Chumash by Rabbi Immanuel Bernstein, part of our collective Journeys in Torah.
Welcome to Dimensions in Chumash. I'm Steve Geller. Whenever you open one of Rabbi Bernstein's Sefarim, you can almost count on one of our long-time steadfast understandings of our Holy Torah to be challenged, which is a nice way of saying turn completely upside down. And why should the episode of the sale of Yosef be any different? After selling Yosef, the Torah describes how the brothers took his ketonis, a word which is translated variously as a coat, a shirt, or a tunic. We will use the word coat for simplicity's sake. The brothers dipped it in goat's blood to make it look as if it had been attacked by a wild beast. The pasuk then relates, they sent the fine woolen coat, and they brought it to their father and said, "We found this, identify it please. Is this your son's coat or not?" Well, there's a bit of a problem with the simple reading of this pasuk. First it says they sent the coat, but then the pasuk says they brought it to their father. If they already sent it, how could they then bring it? Ramban offers two answers to this question. The first, the brothers sent the coat to their father via messengers, with the second phrase, they brought it, referring to the messengers. Because of the animosity with Yosef, the brothers didn't want to bring the coat to their father themselves, so they had someone else do it. Ramban's second explanation, the word Vayeshalchu isn't related to the idea of sending, but of tearing, as we find this term used in Eov. The brothers first tore the coat to make it look as if Yosef had been attacked, and then they sent it to their father. With regards to the first explanation of the Ramban, namely that the brothers sent the coat with messengers, it's worth noting that the Torah has two terms for sending, lishloach and lishalach. Lishloach denotes sending something or someone to a place, a destination with a mission in mind. An example of this is Yaakov sending messengers to Esav with a message of peace, where it states, Vayishlach Yaakov malachim. And Yaakov sent malachim to Esav. L'shalach denotes sending something away. An example of this term is the goat which is sent away to the wilderness on Yom Kippur, where it says, L'shalach oso la'azalzel. And with this background, let's look again at our pasuk. Vayishalchu es ketonis hapasim. If the brothers sent the coat with messengers to their father, that's sending it to a place, with a destination, and the verb should have been vayishlechu. So since the pasuk uses vayishalchu, the implication is that they threw this coat away. Well, of course this can't be. How could they, or anyone else, bring the coat to their father if they had thrown it away? Clearly the pasuk is to be understood as describing them sending it to Yaakov, which means we have to explain why the pasuk says it was sent away. As this dilemma was first bothering Rabbi Bernstein, a very interesting thing happened.
It was my first year in yeshiva, and I was learning the parsha, and these questions started to jump up at me. Vayishlechu and Kasonis Pasim and everything, and I wasn't sure like who to ask or where to turn to or where to look. And I noticed next to me on the table there was a Chumash that I'd never seen that edition of the Chumash before. It's a Chumash that contains the Perush called Meleches Machshavos, which I'd never heard of. I open it up, it's Rav Moshe Chayfetz, and so I open up to these psukim. And I couldn't believe it because he would literally ask every question that I asked and gave the answer, obviously in a way far beyond what I could, but in the direction that I was thinking. And I'd never seen this parish before. I never saw that Chumash again, but that was a real experience just to kind of meet up with him over this idea, even just for that one time.
Imagine being a young Beis Medrash guy sitting with these specific questions, nobody to ask, then noticing an unusual sefer next to you, opening it and finding the answers you needed in that moment. It's just amazing. According to Rav Moshe Chayfetz, the key to this matter lies in an earlier pasuk describing the brothers' actions when Yosef first approaches them. And it was when Yosef came to his brothers, they stripped Yosef of his coat, the ketonis hapasim, the pasim coat that was on him. A closer look at the pasuk reveals two references to Yosef's coat. Rashi explains, es ketanto, this means his shirt. This is the standard issue shirt-like garment. Es ketonis hapasim, this is the special colorful one his father gifted to Yosef, disregarding his brothers. How do these two comments fit the scene? It appears the pasuk is referencing more than one coat of Yosef's. Rav Eliyahu Mizrahi, the foremost commentator on Rashi, insists that the pasuk can't be suggesting that Yosef had more than one coat. He asserts that the term ketonis refers specifically to a garment that is worn directly on the body, and there can only be one of those. According to him, the second mention of the pasim coat is for emphasis, telling us his code was the special colorful pasim code which was the source of such contention. However, he concedes that if this is true, the final two words of the pasuk, asher alav, that was on him, presents a difficulty. What did these words come to add? I mean, the pasuk already said that they stripped him of his code, which means it had to have been asher alav, that was on him. Gur Aryeh and other commentators do understand the pasuk as indicating that Yosef indeed wore two coats, a regular one like the other brothers, and his additional pasim one. According to them, this is precisely the meaning of asher alav, for the word alav here is not to be translated as on him, meaning Yosef, but rather on it, meaning the second pasim coat was on top of the regular coat. How beautiful. Except, Rabbi Bernstein brings us a dilemma with this explanation. The word ketonis is a feminine noun. As such, had the Torah meant to say that the pasim coat was on top of his regular coat, it would not have referred to it as asher alav, but rather asher aleha. Clearly, the words asher alav indicate that the coat was directly on Yosef, and as the Mizrahi pointed out, they appear entirely redundant. All of the above leads Rav Chafetz to a rather different conclusion. He concurs with those who understand that the pasuk is referring to two separate coats. However, it's also telling us something else, and that is, on this particular occasion, Yosef wore the two coats in reverse order. Yosef was well aware that the pasim coat is a point of contention between himself and his brothers. And in this particular situation, far from home and on his way to check on his brothers, Yosef wished to avoid unnecessarily agitating them any further. So he wears his special pasim coat underneath his regular coat. So now it's very good. When the pasuk describes the brothers stripping him of his two coats, it first mentions his regular coat, which he was wearing on top, and then mentions his pasim coat, which on this occasion was alav, directly on his body. Just beautiful. And this brings us back to our opening question. The pasuk says the brothers sent the coat and brought it to their father. Well, we asked, having already sent it to their father, how could they then bring it to him? The answer, says Rav Chafetz, is that the coat that they sent was not the coat that they brought. How is this so? The pasuk that describes the dipping of Yosef's coat in blood reads, "And they took Yosef's coat, slaughtered a goat, and they dipped the coat in blood." And we see that both references in this pasuk are to Yosef's coat. His pasim coat is not mentioned until the next pasuk, where it says, "Vayishalchu es ketonis hapasim," that they sent it. And as we've seen, unless stated otherwise, Yosef's coat refers to his regular coat. And it was that one which they then dipped into the blood to bring to their father. Why did they choose to dip his regular coat and not his pasim coat? Perhaps they had such an aversion to that coat that they wished to have no further involvement with it. Or, given the special love that their father attached to the special coat, they may not have been able to bring themselves to deliver it to him stained in blood. Look at the wording of the pasuk. They chose the regular coat as the vehicle through which to imply that Yosef had been killed by a wild beast. What then became of the pasim coat? If it was not brought to Yaakov, where did it go? Vayishalchu es ketonis hapasim. Remember that we recognize that vayishalchu is the word indicating throwing something away. Well, according to the wording of the pasuk, this is what the brothers did to the pasim coat, throwing it away in a nearby field. Then as the pasuk continues, vayaviu el avihem, they brought to their father, which we now know is Yosef's regular coat, which they had dipped in blood, which they then asked him to identify. Just incredible. Rabbi Bernstein is simply following the stepping stones laid down by the Torah itself. He wanted the actual wording to make sense as it is, without relying on a claim that one instance a word means one thing, but in another it means something else. This thesis gives us a beautiful real-time understanding of everything that happens, using the literal meaning of the words of the Torah itself. Just amazing, and such a wonderful Hanukkah gift for us and our friends and family with whom we should share it.